On today's show, we're going to give you 4 big reasons why you should never buy fake Spotify plays.
Do people do such a thing? This is 30-Minute Music Marketing.
30-Minute Music Marketing. For musicians who want to get better at marketing their music.
Hi, I'm Greg.
Hello, I'm Sheldon, and this is 30-Minute Music Marketing, the show for independent artists and DIY musicians who want to get better at marketing their music. Thanks very much for watching this on the YouTubes or the Facebooks or listening to us on our podcast. Wherever you do so, please subscribe, recommend, share, do all that. If you like this show, make sure you pass it on to a fellow musician friend. And we're back today, Greg, back by dope demand. And this week, well, what we'd like to do on the show is either give people the benefit of our own sort of personal experience as myself as a DIY musician, as I go about my business, or indeed we sort of see other musicians in and around our local area and we sort of see what they're doing, and that enables us to comment upon their activities. And there is a musician who's not so far from ourselves who likes to, maybe, how do we best put it, likes to potentially do a little bit of fibbing where their music career is concerned. And this particular musician has launched a new musical project, and it seems to be going very, very well. His old musical project, I had a look at how many Spotify plays they were getting a month, and I think it was about there was 150 or so listeners per month on his old one, and he's just launched a new one, and this has gone instantly to 3,000 monthly listeners and had like 10,000 plays in a matter of a couple of days. And I thought, this seems rather suspicious. And I went on their Spotify profile, and I couldn't help but notice from the various information that was on display that it looks like those Spotify plays have been bought. And it's Spotify plays are quite easy to buy. Do you know how much it would cost you to buy 10,000 Spotify plays, Greg?
You've actually, I was just about to ask that question and you beat me to it. No, I have no idea. How much does it cost? 10,000
Spotify plays will cost you about $70.
What?
Which is, it's not, it doesn't
cheap.
cost the earth. And if you think about it,
I wasn't saying that was expensive. I'm like,
no.
60 quid.
But if you think about it, you'll also get some royalties back from that. Those streams will earn some money, so it's technically going to cost you less than that. So you might think, oh, this is potentially a good way to but maybe boost my career, make me seem as though I'm more popular than I necessarily am. But I'm going to give you 4 reasons why that is not a good idea for your music career.
But I thought, the idea of fake it till you make it is an endeavour worth trying.
No. Well, again, we're going to give you 4 reasons why in this particular case and in this particular instance, it's not a good idea. And do you want to guide us through those 4 things?
Yes.
Or would you like to comment further?
If this person, I'm just taking a random stab in the dark, have they had lots of positive reviews by people you've never heard of, and the reviews seem very, very similar to other reviews?
What I will say is this particular chap has what's known as sock puppet accounts. So he's got lots of Twitter accounts that he runs himself of fake people, and he has chats with those fake people, and those fake people go, "Hey, this song's really great, mate. Oh, great. Oh, thanks, you're our #1 fan." And it's just him, just sat at home, switching between Twitter accounts to give the impression and the illusion that they have a vast army of fans. But I don't want to concentrate too much on this particular individual.
Okay. I'm just saying, I'm just trying to work out if we're on the same page.
Yes.
So you've said it's a bad thing.
Yes.
You've got 4 reasons why. Why is this such a bad thing?
Well, point number one, I thought you were going to go through the points.
Okay,
But never
all
mind.
right,
I can do it.
okay, I can do it.
No, I
Right,
can.
so okay, no, that's fine. No, otherwise I'm going to get no input on this show, right? Okay, so the first point you've made out is setting out to deceive is not a good career move.
In any sort of relationship, if you start lying to people and the people that you're trying to build that relationship with, it's never going to end well, Greg. It's like if you started lying on your dating profiles, if you had such a thing. All those lies, they're going to come out at some point. And the thing is, right, if you have legitimate fans, they're not going to be bothered whether your music just receives a handful of plays or whether it gets 10,000 plays or 100,000 plays. They're going to like your music, however popular it is. And the thing is, if you're trying to get these plays to impress maybe the press or to impress people on radio or any other part of the music industry, if they find out, and they probably will find out at some point in time, the thing that you have to remember is that they're going to be mightily miffed. Now, as a case in point, I'm going to cite the example of Sandy Tom. Do you remember Sandy Tom?
Scottish singer, wasn't she?
Scottish singer.
Didn't she want to be a punk rocker?
That was her big single. Came out in 2006. And as we know, it's a constant theme on this show that storytelling is great for your marketing. And there was a great story behind her arrival on the scene. And in terms of all her press releases, the story was this: she was a dejected indie artist, and it wasn't making any sort of career headway, as it were, in the industry. So what she decided to do, she decided to start live streaming her gigs from her basement. Now this is 2006.
Oh, yeah, I remember. Yeah.
So this is this was before, obviously there was MySpace, but this was before any sort of own live streaming.
YouTube had only just come out.
Yeah. There was no live streaming through any sort of social media network. So she was doing it all off her back. And the story went that over a course of 3 weeks, she went from no viewers to 70,000 viewers per gig. And because of this, she was signed up by a major record label, and here was the major record label's first single from said artist. It's a big story. She got to #1 in the UK.
Did she?
Yeah. So this story was the one, because again, because stories are everything, and stories are what your music is hung on. This is how she achieved fame and notoriety, because the press was almost sort of waking up to the fact that the internet could break musicians, which was all fine and dandy until at some point some clever press person sat down and just sort of realized, hang on, if you were having 70,000 people on a live stream gig which was run from your own computer, at the time you wouldn't necessarily be able to do that from a computer. What you'd actually need to stream all that live video is an absolutely massive server in your house, which would cost you about 50,000 to run. And so what eventually happened is the record company, the press company, just basically after they were rumbled, just went, yeah, we made all that up. And what eventually happened is the press, because they don't like being deceived, they ostracized Ms. Tom. She was persona non grata, and all her future releases were basically ignored and shunned. And she was ignored by the press simply because they were deceived. They don't like to be deceived, because they in turn deceive their readers and whoever consumes their own sort of media. Mm-hmm. So it's just it's setting out to tell lies in the first instance is just not a good thing if you're trying to build any sort of relationships.
Okay, on that basis then. What was the reaction to finding out that C6 Steve was a character? Did that hinder his... Is a character different to... excuse me. Is that different to the situation there?
Well, he seems to have come off this rather better the most, because his, like you say, his character was of a hobo, and he was a down on his luck musician, whereas he was just nothing of the sort. Maybe, like you say, it's because it was come through the auspices of someone who wasn't sort of necessarily real to begin with. Maybe seasick Steve, very difficult to say when you record it early of a morning as we're doing. Maybe because he was almost an artificial construct to begin with, or maybe people liked the music a little better. But in any way, shape or form, just setting out to tell fibs and to try and pull the wool over people's eyes, it's a very risky strategy.
I can't believe she went to number one. I did wonder why. I met her brother once at Parr Street, because he was a producer and stuff. So, but yeah, you kind of go. She did kind of become quite well known, and then just sank into absolute.
Exactly. People are going to find
obscurity
out sooner or later.
And I suppose once you do, you get absolutely vilified for it.
Very much so, very much so.
So, deceiving is not a good career start.
No.
Right, okay. So, number 2, it won't actually advance your career.
The thing that you've got to think about is if you've got fake bots, and we'll talk more about those shortly as to how those fake plays are achieved. So if you've got basically bots and computers and phones that are running and listening to, running in the background, listening to your music, you're almost deluding yourself, because you think that you're very, very popular because you're getting all those streams. But those bots, because they're fake fans, they're never going to buy any merchandise. They're never going to come to a gig, so they'll never buy a gig ticket. They're never going to subscribe to your Patreon or whatever crowdfunder that you might have. So you're sort of deluding yourself into the false sense of success, when really the one thing that you should be doing is actually trying to find those fans, build a relationship with those fans, because those are the people that are going to be funding your career long term. And if and it may well be that people think, well, this particular artist is dead popular. I'm not going to buy his music. I'm not going to buy a T-shirt, because he's got loads, or she's got loads of fans, and must have loads of money coming in. And really, you don't necessarily have that, and it's giving you very much a false sense of security.
Well,
and the one thing you have,
I was going to say, you do start believing your own hype. And then also from a fan perspective, with the artist that I know you're referring to, you're like, what if you're, when you read the feedback and you're kind of going, and everything's amazingly positive and stuff like this, and you're kind of go, well, why haven't I heard of these people before? And I always referred to this person's previous project. It was like the biggest band you'd never heard of.
And the one thing you have to remember is that if you do this for one release, you're subsequently going to have to do it for all your other releases, because why is someone going to go, well, the first single got loads of plays, and this one, which doesn't have the fake plays, has barely sort of scratched the surface, and so alarm bells may start,
Didn't another
rung.
local band do that?
Yes, they bought for some strange reason, they bought 1 million Spotify plays, which was it, and it literally was the play count literally was 1 million and stayed on 1 million. As in, it wasn't even 1 million, like 200,000. They just literally bought 1 million, and literally no one was streaming their music, and it just stayed on 1 million until such time as it was removed from the.
Was it removed?
Service. It was indeed. Which is a point we'll come to later. But again, if you're spending all this money on fake plays, that actually could go towards some proper marketing to find some proper fans who, again, are going to support you on your career in the long term. So yes, your money could be better spent trying to get a proper audience who will actually reward you at some point in the future for for what you do for them.
So how much is 1 million plays? Do you know?
I can't remember off the top of my head.
Right.
Well, it's going to be, it may well be something in the region of about $800-900.
Okay.
Which again is a significant.
That would be a significant
investment.
marketing budget.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you spent all that money to get 1 million plays, and then you approach promoters and go, look at me, we're incredibly popular on the Spotify's, they're going to expect all those people, that you've got a massive fan base, and that those people will turn up to a gig, and when there's literally the landlord and his dog just watching, they're going to go, where are all your fans? Well, they're basically sitting on a phone in South Korea.
It is. So yeah, you're right. It's not going to, and as we've demonstrated from the examples that, you're right, these people are still doing it because they're still trying to, convince themselves it's going to work.
And convince other people that they are a bigger proposition than they actually are.
So point number 3, it ruins your listener algorithm.
And this is the big one.
Go on then.
So the whole thing about Spotify is that it learns the sort of person who likes your music. So it learns and basically builds up a listener profile depending on who listens to your music. And you sometimes see a bit of evidence of that when you go onto an artist's profile and it says, oh, people who listen to this artist also listen to X, Y, and Z. And that could be U2, Coldplay, Two Door Cinema Club, Taylor Swift, all that sort of thing. So, it more or less says fans of these particular acts will necessarily like this. So what happens is that it almost tries to find. So, for example, if you had some music out, which was, say, for example, electropop, Greg, and I listened to it, what Spotify would do is it would try and find more of people like me, direct them towards your music, so that I would find like-minded listeners. So hopefully you would grow on the platform, and when you release new music, it would be pushed to people who have similar musical interests, such as myself. That sort of makes sense, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So, but what happens with a lot of these fake play purchases is that it will in their advertising blurb, it will say, these there's no bots, these are real listens from real Spotify playlists. But what happens is that your track will be put into several, I'm going to use it inverted air quotes, random Spotify playlists. So this particular artist in question, they are a sort of indie Americana act, and by going onto their Spotify playlist, I could their Spotify profile, I could see which playlists they'd been placed in. One of them was I think an EDM dance playlist. One of them was a lo-fi electronic beats playlist. And what happens is, if you pay to use these services, you'll be put into a couple of random playlists, and bots will be, rather than just continually listening to your one track over and over again, which is very suspicious for Spotify, and Spotify can track that sort of thing. You'll be put in a playlist, and bots will stream the entire playlist just so it doesn't look as suspicious. But because you are literally put into random playlists of differing musical styles, which will probably have nothing to do with your own musical style, it ruins your listener recommendations, because in the case of this particular mystery act in question, now Spotify is going to think that people who like lo-fi electronic beats and EDM acts, they're going to like Mr. X, if we say, and really, and he's doing indie acoustic sort of stuff. So he's completely screwed and ruined his listener algorithm, and it's going to start recommending his music to people who won't like it. So that's completely ruined, your organic recommendations. Game over.
Yep, it doesn't sound particularly rewarding now. And coming to point 4, as you said, as we've already slightly discussed, is that in the worst case scenario, Spotify will get wind of it and pull your music.
Yeah, so this does happen on a regular basis, and let's refer back to another point in question that we mentioned earlier. One particular local act bought 1 million Spotify plays, and it was just taken down.
How long was it up there for? Do you know?
It wasn't up there for all that long, but you lose any legitimate counts and streams that you had on that particular track, and it will just be, you're going to have to re-upload it, and you'll start again from zero. So it may well be that
you've wasted that money that you've spent. What happens if they paid you royalties on that 1 million plays? Will they claw back the money?
It may well be that they refuse to pay that out. So when all's said and done, when you put all those things into one big basket, the fact that you're deceiving people, the fact that you're not actually advancing your career in the way that you want to, that you're not really, basically you're wasting your marketing money and you're ruining your listener algorithm, so Spotify won't actually recommend your music to the people who will actually like it. It'll just recommend it now to randoms. And there was another instance that I saw of one playlist promotion service, and they I think it was a Christian artist, and they'd put their Christian music into the playlist of a Spanish hip hop with lots of effing and jeffing in.
Nice.
So again, completely ruining his algorithm. So whereas his music should be being promoted to Christians who listen to a lot of Christian music on Spotify, the ideal people, the ideal audience, it's now going to go to people who I'm not too sure of any Spanish swear words, thankfully, but it's going to be start pushing to that particular crowd. It's just a complete. It's a dangerous game, Greg. It's a dangerous game.
Well, the funny thing is, considering that a lot of these musicians don't like to take risks and don't like spending money, to go about trying to fake it till you make it, they are making one of the biggest risks and just going to lose money.
But it's just because on the surface, it just seems like a very harmless activity. It looks as though, there's no real risks to this. There's only an upside, but it's only really once you start digging and scratching below the surface that you realise that there are far too many negatives to outweigh the positives. Of course, what you should do is, if you want more Spotify plays, you should listen to or watch episode number 27, which is how to get your first 1,000 plays on Spotify from our good selves. No doubt you'll put a link in the description.
Yeah.
And I will do so myself on the audio version. So, I'm not saying that potentially getting Spotify plays is the easiest of things, but just don't go the easy route buying those plays, because it might wreak havoc with your whole Spotify endeavors.
So, did the band that paid for 1 million plays, did they re-upload their music back?
I think they re-upload. I'm not too sure whether it was the entire album that got deleted or just said track. So again, you're gonna have to pay to re-upload it, and so many downsides.
Oh, I don't have Spotify on this MacBook. You'll have to send me the name of the band again later.
I will.
And I'll go and have a look. So there you go. 4 very sensible reasons not to basically pay for fake Spotify streams.
One thing I will say, Greg, is that a lot of services, they will say, if you give us X amount of pounds, we will guarantee X Spotify plays. And they'll go, it's all real streams, real fans. It isn't. Anyone who can legitimately guarantee X number of plays on a music streaming service is up to no good and they are not real fans. It's bots, because you can't guarantee it, can you?
No.
You can't guarantee that that somebody will listen, someone else will listen to your music. There is underhand skullduggery going on. So if you're thinking about doing it, spend that money wisely in better marketing activities.
Yeah. So there you go. That is today's 30-minute music marketing. I don't know how long we've been out for. Is it like a deep dive today, or is it an episode?
No, I think this is a full episode.
So things are slowly. Well, they were getting slightly better, but then
I've got a couple of episodes almost in reserve. I think we should start going back to one a week and see how we get on.
Yes. So
there's some light at the end of the tunnel.
There is. So stay safe out there, people. Thank you for watching. Smash that subscribe button, bell, wherever it is. And,
we will see you next time.
Write questions. If there's something that you want us to talk about, how are you coping without being able to play in live music places? Are we going to do something on that?
Well, I'm currently selling tickets for a live streaming show, so I think once all that's
where are you doing that, Sheldon?
I'm doing that at your facility, Greg.
So this is going to be quite an interesting. Are we going to document any of this and put it in an episode?
Well, I think we will as reflection is important for learning. So once our initial paid for live stream is achieved, we can maybe talk about some of the steps that were put into place, and so other people can maybe learn from our successes or potentially our mistakes. But that's going to happen in a couple of weeks. So I've got a busy fortnight ahead of me trying to shift gig tickets for an online show.
Yes, it will be interesting to see your marketing process for that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. Stay safe, and we will see you sometime soon.
See you next time.